Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Aruba Instant On. Today's host is Reggie Johnson, and he is their Channel Systems Engineer for North America, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box so that Reggie can answer them at the end of today's presentation. Reggie, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate your time and all of your valuable information. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Great. Thanks, Julie. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Hope everybody's doing well. So as Julie said, I'm Reggie Johnson. I'm a Channel Systems Engineer with Aruba. And what I want to talk to you guys about today, I know I'm always on here and I'm talking about Instant On, but today I actually want to cover an Instant On kind of a solutions review, right? And kind of review our total portfolio and what we have. And then I'm also going to talk about some of the recent updates that we've had with Instant On. So for those of you that have followed us along with the product, you know that we do quite a few updates actually with Instant On. We actually do updates about every 3 to 6 months or so, and add some like dynamic features. And I thought this last one was a really good one, so I'll talk about some of those things as I go through the presentation. And I'll list them out at the end as well. So I'll start off, for the agenda, I'll talk a little bit about some of the small business challenges, which a lot of you guys are familiar with. Kind of the Instant On small business strategy, right? Why we actually came up with Instant On. I'm not sure how many times I've actually talked about that, but it's always a good thing to hear so you can actually hear our story and understand what we're doing as we put our solutions together. I'll talk about the end-to-end solution that you have with Instant On. I'll talk about the Instant On access points and the switches that we have to offer. And then I'll kind of sum things up. And as Julie said, we'll cover a little Q&A. So if you look at today's business challenges, particularly for small business, right? Everybody's struggling to keep up with the latest technology because it moves so fast, right? Being able to manage their budget efficiently as well. So it's great to stay up with the latest and greatest, but everybody's cost conscious nowadays, especially with inflation. Some of the enhanced security concerns in the marketplace that we actually address with our product. Being able to extend the network to every corner of your business or every location that you have with your business is something that a lot of businesses are looking to do, but sometimes there can be a lot of expense with that. And then just being able to keep the network up and running with having limited resources. A lot of times you'll have somebody at the company who kind of does dual duty. Maybe they're a sales rep, but they also kind of the part-time IT guy if there are problems or if they need to install a new product, et cetera. Right. And that's kind of what everybody's accustomed to with small businesses. And that's a challenge. So with Instant On, our small business strategy was really to create, an end-to-end branded solution for small businesses as well as residential employees. Now I'll talk about small businesses, but really we've kind of scaled this product up into the small, medium business space. And I'll talk about some of the things we've done later to actually show you how we've done that. But, we wanted to leverage, we already had a solid brand with our enterprise product, which was Aruba Instant. And what we really wanted to do was what we found was there were a lot of our competitors that were kind of moving upstream into our enterprise space. So we thought a good way to deflect would be to actually come out with a solid SMB product, which is Instant On. And the beauty of Instant On is, and this is something you won't get from any other vendor, right, is we actually evolved Instant On from our enterprise product. So that's actually where it actually evolved from. So it's a matter of literally just eliminating some high-end features and really taking a lot of the additional cost out that's really allowed us to do very well and compete in this space. So I'll talk about how we kind of got started with that. We started off with access points, and then later we came back and we added switches into that space. And I'll talk about some of the other unique things we've done. But now all that falls under the unique umbrella brand of Aruba Instant On. So as I said, we really developed out of an end-to-end networking solution with switches and access points that can be managed in the cloud via your mobile device, or basically on your PC or laptop by accessing our web portal. All right, there are several products that we have available. We have, as I said, our access points, as well as switches. We've since added transceivers and direct attach cables along to that portfolio that were lower cost that are also branded Instant On, that we brought into that space. We provide a single pane of glass for management so that in order to be able to manage these products, there's a common workflow. So we make it real simple. As we talked about, we're used to selling this to customers and partners that not have a lot of experience for IT, so they need some things to be done automatically. So when I set up an SSID on an access point or the network name, it automatically puts it on the proper network for the wired switch, on the proper VLAN, et cetera. And that happens automatically for those that aren't extremely IT savvy. I talked about some of our managed firmware updates and how we control that. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So what's really nice is that, as I mentioned, we come out with new updates about every 3 months to add on unique features that are typically requested by you guys or by our customers. Right? We have an outstanding topology view that we continue to enhance so it shows an intuitive map of your Instant On devices for a particular site. And then there's the ability, if you're interested in being a managed service provider, to be able to do remote management, perhaps for a customer that has multiple locations, or being able to manage multiple sites, right? And we can actually manage up to 150 sites with Aruba Instant On. So, and we continue to add to the portfolio. So for those of you that might have sold legacy HP networking, the Instant On products kind of evolved from that. That was not cloud managed. We have the unique benefit of these being cloud managed, and those were switches at that time, only switches. And then what we've done is we've gone back and we've built that management capability via the cloud within the Instant On product. And there's also new products that we continue to add. We just added the unmanaged switch 1430 that I talked about at the end of the year. So as I mentioned, so these are our true purpose-built solutions. And what I mean by purpose-built, like I said, this actually came from our enterprise brand of products. And now we brought it down into the SMB space with a modified feature set. We added some simplicity, though, that we didn't have in those products. For example, it's really quick plug and play using your mobile application or by using the portal in your web browser, right? So with the mobile app, we can actually automatically discover APs and switches that are connected in a network that received an IP address and have internet access. We can automatically discover the access points using a Bluetooth in our phones, or you can barcode scan the serial number, right, or the QR codes on the devices. Or you can simply type in the serial number into the interface. So there are a lot of options for simplicity to be able to discover these devices to deploy them on the network. There's no licensing and no subscription fees with Instant On. The remote management capability is what I talked about earlier. So you can manage multiple sites from anywhere, anytime using your mobile device, your iPad, your desktop, etc. Now, one of the things I talked about our updates. So one of the things we did was we used to only manage 25 APs or switches within a site. We've now increased that number to provide more scalability. We're now supporting up to 50 APs and or switches in a site. We support up to 8 SSIDs or network names per AP. And you can mix and match different models of APs and switches at a single site to manage. One of the cool ways that we're able to expand Instant On within your environment is we add a capability called Smart Mesh. So what Smart Mesh does is it really adds the ability to extend the network in areas where you may not have wired connectivity to connect the physical access point to. So for example, I do this in my house. I actually have an Instant On AP that I have wired to my network. And I have one area of my house where there are no wires. So I put an AP near there, and I point it in the direction of that particular area so that I can now extend coverage into that space. And I simply plug that access point into the wall using my AC power, and it wirelessly over the 5 gigahertz radio associates to the wired access points to provide an invisible link there that now my clients that can connect on the 2.4 gigahertz radio or that 5 gigahertz radio that's also in there and connect back to be a part of the primary network. So that's what smart mesh is. And we support that with Instant On, and it's real simple. It's just as easy to discover those devices as I talked about initially. Um, increased security with WPA3 support. So that's the latest and greatest in encryption. That's something that you don't see from a lot of SMB vendors out there to actually support the latest and greatest. We've got it in our Instant On product, the wireless product, as well as legacy support for WPA2, which was the previous standard. There's also two-year warranty on the APs and limited lifetime warranty on the switches, 90 days of phone support to start, online chat support for the entire warranty period. And we have an Instant On community that you can actually access to get information perhaps before you make that call to support. You can perhaps go there and get the answer to your question by guys like me or some of the support guys for the Instant On product. We all have access and support our customers and partners that way. There's also the option for an additional or 3-year, 5-year support purchase to enhance the basic warranty. And you can kind of see some of the examples of that here. So notice, as I said, there's the option from going from a 2-year. Notice you've got access points and switches. The warranties are different. For the access point, it's actually a single SKU for each the 3-year or the 5-year, regardless of which access point you have. With the switches, it actually depends on each specific model. But you notice you go from your 2 years to the 3-year or 5-year support, and then your next business day replacement you get within the first 30 days with the access point. But if you want to extend that to make that next business day arrival, meaning that it'll ship out the day that you call in, for example, if it failed or something, then you would get it right away, and that's for that entire warranty period. So it gives you an opportunity to extend that. The other thing you extend is the phone support, right? So the phone support gets extended for the entire warranty period instead of just the first 90 days. The chat and the software support on both sides, whether it be the APs or the switches, are for the entire warranty period of the product. But the enhancements are typically around the 3 years and the next business day replacement, and the phone support, notice, is the same for the switches here on the right. So this is a good slide for you guys to be able to go back and reference as you're positioning this product out into the market. So let's talk a little bit about the access points. So we've got a nice variety of access points. We started off with 5. Notice we've now added some to that. We started off with the AC Wave 2 access points that you see here, which is the AP11, AP12, the AP15, the 11D, which is a desktop model, actually has some built-in Ethernet ports in it, can provide power to things such as phones, if you PoE phone or VoIP phone that's actually sitting on your desk and provides coverage maybe to like a conference room area or something like that. That one can also be wall mounted as well. If you think for places like boutique hotels, it's a great fit for that. And then the AP17 is our outdoor model. So you mount that in your pool side. You think about cafes, et cetera, where they've got an outside patio. It's a great fit for that. Then most recently, we've added our AP22 and our AP25, which are our latest and greatest Wi-Fi 6 access points. Now, the AP22 is probably our top seller. The 25 is becoming more and more popular as well. It actually knows it's a 4x4x4, so it can support more clients. And I got a great chart in here that actually shows you guys kind of how to position these, what the ideal deployments are for the different locations or types of customers, as well as how many actual devices are supported per AP. And then down below, there's a lot of additional great information there. For you guys that are watching this on YouTube, this is a good slide that you'll probably want to pause at, right? Just so you can actually review the more specifics here. But this is a great slide to kind of give you some idea of where to position these products. And then I talked about a lot of the key features. I talked about the smart mesh and what it does. I talked about our ability to manage and monitor the access points. I also talked about our security with WPA3 support. I'll talk a little more about some additional enhancements with that for guests. And then we also covered the warranty, right, that's related to the access points. And even though we have a 2-year warranty on the access points, typically a lot of our competitors out there only have a 1-year warranty and don't offer the other means of support that we offer as well. So that was one of the things we wanted to make sure we were really strong on. So, from additional features, and some of these, as far as we're concerned as Aruba, should just be generic, basic stuff that you should have in an AP, but that's not always the truth. That's not always true with every vendor that's out there. So if you look at here, what we refer to as enterprise grade RF, I talked about our smart mesh capability and kind of how that works to extend coverage. We also have this dynamic RF optimization. Some of you guys may be familiar with this as ARM, which is adaptive radio management. And what it does is it automatically adjusts to channels and power levels based on potential interference that may be in a particular area of the access point. And that's something that we have as a part of Aruba, as just a part of our generic offering. But there's some vendors where literally you have to go and manually do a lot of fine tuning. We do this automatically. If an access point fails in that particular space and you design a network for coverage, it'll actually increase the power in order to increase the signal on the other APs to actually cover that area. And so that's some of the benefits you get with adaptive radio management. Another feature that we have only as Aruba that actually comes from that is actually a part of the ARM family of something called CLIENTMATCH. And what CLIENTMATCH is it's our patented technology that, and basically which the access points of the network actually monitors devices and will steer a device such as an iPad or a tablet of some sort or your mobile device that's a consumer device designed to connect to an access point and lock into it. We will actually force that device to go to where there's better connectivity, right? So if you move away from an access point, if you come into a facility, right, it's going to automatically recognize that you can get better connectivity perhaps under the access point that you're closer to, right, and actually force you to that. And that's an advanced roaming capability that we have only as Aruba. This is one of those new technologies or that we actually moved from the enterprise product, and we just brought this over in our latest release of 2.7. So we decided to add this for the small business space. It's actually been at the request of a lot of our partners and customers for a long time, and finally we gave in and added it. And it's a great feature. I absolutely love it to watch my devices roam automatically. We talked about WPA3 and how it's an advanced level of encryption, right, that has to be supported both on the physical hardware, which is our access points, as well as the device that's connected to it. So some of the newer switches, some of the newer laptops and mobile devices have support for WPA3. One of the other benefits of WPA3 is it has something called enhanced open. And what that is like when you go to a facility and you connect as a guest, and sometimes they would have a shared password that everybody kind of knew, sometimes whether or not they were part of that facility or even in that facility or not. That was something that we did with WPA2. What WPA3 does is if you have support on your mobile device, your tablet, laptop, etc., and you're connecting to a network that's set up for WPA3 that supports that, such as ours, that you'll automatically get an encrypted key for every device that connects, and it actually happens automatically. You don't have to go in and put in an additional password or anything. So we built that capability into the Instant On product. Again, one of those unique things that we offer as an SMB vendor that you won't see from others. We also do deep packet inspection in order to be able to recognize applications. So there are about 3,000 different applications that we can recognize. I think we're up to about 3,500 now. What we do with Instant On, right, in the enterprise, I mean, you can actually individualize those and go and do configuration for each one individually. What we did with Instant On is we set up a block of 19 categories that we could put those into. And then when you set up an SSID, like for example, here is the staff at the coffee shop. So we don't want them to have access to Facebook. So we've got social media blocked as one of the categories. Now that also is going to block them from LinkedIn and Twitter, et cetera, and all the everything else that falls into that category. But it's a real, again, simple way of being able to do that. Notice the example there using customers. So if I have a customer SSID set up, I can choose to block things such as that, or perhaps adult content, right, or anything that you want to prohibit your guests from accessing from your network. And again, this is something that's built into our access points. With a lot of vendors, you have to buy a gateway of some sort in order to have that capability. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the switches. And I'm going to move pretty quickly through these. I've been on a series where I've covered a lot of these switches recently. So some of you guys may want to go back and review some of the videos that are out there on YouTube for more detail. But we've got, again, these are products that have really replaced what used to be our Office Connect brand of products, which weren't cloud managed. So here you get the benefit of cloud managed devices, as well as potentially can be managed in the GUI of that device if it has that capability. The 1430 is our latest, which is an unmanaged gigabit switch, has support for PoE plus. These are fanless switches, so nice just to plug in, set on a desktop. There's no configuration that you have to do, right? All the configuration or IP addresses will be assigned to devices that attach to it. This just simply is for lack of a better term, it's a dumb device that you plug in, and we actually do build some smarts into our dumb devices though, that you actually plug in and they get connectivity to the network. Now, if you want something a little bit more advanced to be managed in the Instant On network or in our cloud, the lowest end series we have that can do that is the 1830. And it's, again, cloud managed, or it can be managed via the web GUI. So all of these devices moving up that are managed come with a default IP address of 192.168.1.1. I can simply put my device on a network. I can label mine as .2, and I can access it via the web interface and do configuration there. Or, as I mentioned, they can be cloud managed. The 1830 supports PoE plus, so they're PoE and non-PoE switches that are supported in this platform. These are a gigabit layer 2 only, right? So they only do switching. They do support VLANs, but you can't route between those VLANs on the 1830. In order to get more advanced features like that, you'd have to move to the 1930, which again has all those same features, but also has support for 10 gig uplinks. The 1830 is only 1 gig with 1 gig uplink options. The 1930 has 10 gig uplink options, and it has some additional features such as it can actually support 802.1x for if you're in an environment where you're actually authenticating users, et cetera. And it also has support for static routing. The 1960 essentially has all the features of the 1930. It also will support 60-watt standard for PoE. So for some of you that may have some of those advanced devices, such as cameras or perhaps lighting that require more than that 30-watt standard for class 4 or PoE plus, the 1960 is a good fit. These are also stackable, and it also has a 10 gig aggregator switch that's offered in that brand as well. It actually has 12 10 gig copper ports and 4 actually 10 gig uplink fiber modules that you can add in there as well. And it also supports routing just like the 1930. So as you kind of move up the stack here, they get a little bit more advanced. This is a great page, basically kind of showing you actually all the stuff that I just talked about. A great reference page, just like I had with the wireless. Here's one now for the switching. You can see the various models and options, PoE, stacking, etc. And I also created another page that's really good. It's going to come up here soon. I talked about this, so just keep in mind, So with the access points, they can only be cloud managed, right? We can only manage those in the cloud. With the switches, there's actually the flexibility of they can actually function as a standalone in a space not cloud managed, right? There's a way to access the local web GUI as I talked about, or they can be cloud based managed. Most of the time, if you use them with the APs, you're going to want to do cloud based management. That way you can see your entire environment. So, I talked about a lot of these key features, so I'm not going to go back through those again. Another good page to be able to go back and just get a little bit more detail on the capabilities. But a lot of the key features and things are the same. The simplicity is something that we've continued that theme with the switches throughout the Instant On portfolio. Reliable performance as well as advanced performance support for things such as 10 gig. I talked about the Class 6 PoE support as well. Built-in security, so access control list that determines which networks you can have access to. I talked about the authentication support with 802.1x. We can also support Mac authentication as well. So for those headless devices such as printers, they need a way to be authenticated on the network. We can do that with Instant On. Again, more things that we have for small business customers that a lot of vendors do not, that are in this space. And then again, great warranty, even better warranty, I'll say, than on the access points. I don't know if better is necessarily right there, but it's a limited lifetime warranty as opposed to just 2 years on the access point. And then we talked about some of the potentials for adding on there as well. So this is a great slide that really shows at a high level, right, of the various differences in features. And this is a good slide to be able to go back and reference as you're making recommendations. Just keep in mind, as I said, I usually start with my recommendations at the 1930. Now with some of the constraints and various things that are going on, it's nice to have the option to, give the customer the option maybe to move to some of the other products in the line because of the capabilities that we have here. But like I said, this is typically where I start. Right. And this is just a great chart to be able to reference as you're making those recommendations. The 2.7 software release. So I talked about some of the things as I went through this that we've added. So we've increased our support from 25 Instant On devices, access points, and/or switches on a network to up to 50. I talked about our CLIENTMATCH capability that we just turned on with 2.7 in these access points. A couple of things I didn't talk about is we have the ability to do to adjust the times and settings and schedules for PoE as well as your Wi-Fi network and when they're available, and you can set multiple instances per day is what we refer to as the variable options. There's also a watch list that you can set for particular clients. So for example, I've got a few devices here that I got selected as to get notifications on if they happen to go offline. So if you think about small business customers that have servers and storage in their environment, they might want to get an immediate notification if that's not working. You can do that actually within the Instant On. You can actually define these as particular watch clients. We've added some additional features such as jumbo frame support to kind of support that additional support for servers and storage environment, sending large packets across the network, and some additional recovery capability of our multi-factor authentication. We can now do that using email. You used to only be able to do that using a specific code that you had to say. Now it associates you with your initial email that you set up as an admin. And there are lots of other enhancements that we've added. You can actually go to the interface or the community page and actually see some of the other enhancements that we've added with 2.7. So why Instant On? Again, not going to reiterate a lot of things I've already said. If you kind of go across the top here, the simplicity is top notch. Built-in security, also top-notch. We have extraordinary performance with AC Wave 2 and certified Wi-Fi 6 access points as well. And when you think about certified, that means certified by the Wi-Fi Alliance. So that means we're very likely to work with a lot of the other devices and clients that are out there. What you find from a lot of our competitors is they don't do such a good job of that, and a lot of their products aren't certified with the Wi-Fi Alliance. It's something to keep in mind there. We talked about no hidden fees, no subscription fees, there's no licensing fees with Instant On. That helps to lower that total cost of ownership. And this is all coming from Aruba as a trusted vendor. And I talked about some of the benefits that you get around not just our product hardware superiority along with our software, but the fact of I talked about where this product evolved from, our enterprise space, and all the support options that we have around it as well. So that's pretty much it, Julie. I want to thank you guys. I know we got questions, and I'm probably out of breath. Yeah, I covered a lot of stuff. So hopefully you guys got something out of it. So, Julie, I'll pass it back over to you, and I'll answer any questions we got time for.
Thank you very much, Reggie. Appreciate that wonderful presentation. I'm sure we all did. And yes, of course, I've got questions for you from our wonderful audience. Let's get started with the first one. Regarding, you had mentioned no licensing on the app, but are there any, say, paid features for this, for any extra advanced information?
Probably the easiest question I get all day, Julie. No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There are none. We got no additional cost with Instant On. You buy your hardware, you get the software, and you're all set.
Excellent. I'll go on to the next question here for you. Regarding the 90-day phone support, what if someone wants more than 90-day phone support? What would they do, or how could they check into that?
Excellent question. So what they need to do is they need to buy the 3-year or 5-year foundation care options. And we have those for the access points. It's a single SKU, regardless of which access point model it is. It's the same SKU. Well, it's a different SKU for 3-year and 5-year, but those are the two SKUs that would be used. That increases that to those time periods. And the same thing on the switches, except the switches, there's an individual SKU for each switch, right? Because you got a lot of different models. You got PoE, non-PoE, et cetera. So in that case, it is, they're going to be different SKUs, but again, it increases that to 3 years or 5 years based on which one you purchase.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Reggie. Next question here for you. Regarding Smart Mesh, will this reduce bandwidth to 50% each hop?
Yeah, so that's something that we can't get away from, unfortunately. So yes, it does. So normally, my recommendation is usually like 1 hop, 2 max, but preferentially 1. The nice thing is that we actually provide the ability, because we're supporting Wi-Fi 6 now, we can use that 160 megahertz channel to provide more bandwidth across that link. If you got Wi-Fi 6 access points, such as the AP22 and the AP25. So you get an additional benefit there. And you're also able to still use that radio to service clients as well as the 2.4 radio on that side. But yeah, that's true. That's something you can't get away from. And that's on the 5 gigahertz radio.
Excellent. Thanks for that again, Reggie. Next question here for you. Can the warranties be extended if they only have a day left on their warranty, or do they need to reach out in a specific timeline?
That is an excellent question. No, if they're going to get the warranty, they need to get the warranty right away at purchase. I think you've got, I would say within 30 days. I don't remember whether or not it's 30 or 90, but I'll say definitely within 30 to be on the safe side. I think you need to get that warranty. Get the extension, to foundation care, 3-year or 5-year.
Thank you for that, Reggie. Next question here. Regarding Aruba Access Point, outdoor access AP17, what is the maximum distance this device can cover?
Yeah, so it's pretty standard. So usually you're thinking of about a 2,500 square foot distance. Obviously, it's going to depend on the conditions, right? But that's typically about the norm. I usually say 1,500 to 2,500 square feet. You think about probably about a for good coverage, probably about 150 degree, 150 feet, about 150 feet from the AP in any direction.
Thank
And
you
of
very
course,
much.
yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
to add on to that, Julia, of course, I mean, that's also dependent upon it's going to vary, right? Depending upon the client, right? A lot of people don't really think about this or acknowledge it when it comes to wireless, right? But it's like if I got a megaphone and I scream from one end of the street and you don't have one, right? You can hear me, but if you scream back at me, I probably can't hear you, right? That's how wireless works.
Excellent. Thank you very much. The next question here is regarding where you've got down here on the screen, community.arubainstanton.com. What can we find there?
So that's where I was telling you that we all monitor as Aruba employees. I do. There are also partners that are actually can help you on that site as well. That's where you can log in. You can find documentation there, as well as get answers to personal questions that you may have about a configuration or something that you're trying to do. You can actually put in requests for features that'll be seen there as well. So, again, think about everything that you would probably look for and need from a support standpoint or configuration assistance without actually physically going to talk to somebody. You can probably find it there.
Excellent. Thank you. And this is something in addition to going to your main website and looking for for other services and support like customer service or tech support. Is that correct? Or is it kind of all part of the same thing?
No, you got it. That's correct. What you said the first time. And if you notice right below that, if somebody wants strictly just support and support options, so you can go there and get some of that information as well, but also have the option to maybe generate a ticket that you're going to then get on the phone with somebody, and you can get information on how to do that from the actual /support page beneath that.
Thank you for that clarity. Yes, thank you for that clarity, Reggie, and thank you so much for answering all of our questions today. And thank you to everyone attending today's webinar. And if anyone does have any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you want to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And also, please remember this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view and review again and again. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Thank you again, Reggie, for your time and all of your valuable information that you shared with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye now.
Bye, Joe.